This is Room 13 Reports. We document the spaces where the veil thins, where the echoes linger long after the sound should have faded. We observe the quiet decay, the slow unraveling of what was once solid and known. Our purpose is not to explain, but to witness, to record the subtle shifts, the atmospheric pressures that build in forgotten corners. We seek the places where the air itself feels heavy with history, with sorrow, with something else entirely. We avoid the sudden shock, the cheap startle. True dread is a slow poison seeping into the bones. It is the certainty that something is wrong, deeply and irrevocably wrong, even when you cannot name it. Our goal is to leave you with questions, with a lingering unease, to show you the edges of the dark and let your own mind fill in the terrifying center. This is not a story with a neat ending. It is an open wound. Consider the hallway, not just a passage, but a witness. These walls have absorbed countless moments, countless breaths, countless silences. They stand, peeling and stained, holding secrets in their very structure. The floorboards groan under an unseen weight, a memory of footsteps long gone. Each creak is a whisper from the past, a reminder that this space is not empty, merely unoccupied by the living in the conventional sense. The light here is grudging, filtering in from sources you cannot quite place. It casts long, dancing shadows that seem to move with a life of their own. They stretch and writhe, suggesting forms that are never quite still, never quite defined. This is a place where the air is thick, cold even in warmth. It carries the scent of dust, of age, and something else, something metallic, like old blood, or perhaps just the slow rust of time itself. We found it here, on the floor, not immediately obvious, but there, etched into the old wood, deep scratches, deliberate and raw, not the accidental marks of furniture or careless feet. These were made with intent, with force, a message left behind, a final desperate act, or perhaps a chilling declaration. It was centered, stark against the worn grain. The scratches formed a single word, a word that seemed utterly out of place in this decaying silence. A word that offered no comfort, only deeper questions. Forgiven. By whom? For what? The word hangs in the air, heavy and meaningless, or perhaps too meaningful. It speaks of a transgression, a judgment, and a release that feels anything but freeing. Consider the context, the room at the end of this hall, the one that remains locked from the inside. Think about that, a room secured from within, no sign of forced entry from the outside, no way in unless you already possessed the key, or perhaps unless you were already there. And if they were already there, who locked the door and why? The reports are frustratingly sparse, yet consistent. The room, when finally accessed, was empty, or rather, devoid of the expected occupant. There were no signs of struggle, no overturned furniture, no broken glass, just an unnatural stillness, a perfect, terrifying order. And the evidence, or the lack of it, no fingerprints, not on the door, not on the few remaining surfaces, not even hers. A person who was supposed to be there left no trace, as if they simply dissolved or were lifted away. But the door was locked from the inside. But absence is not emptiness. The space is not vacant. Something remains, a presence that is felt rather than seen. It is in the way the shadows shift when no light source changes. It is in the sudden drop in temperature, the feeling of being watched from just beyond your line of sight. They say you can hear things here if you listen closely. Not voices, not words you can understand, just whispers, faint, indistinct, like dry leaves skittering across stone. They seem to come from everywhere at once, or from nowhere at all, just a constant, low murmur beneath the silence, a reminder that you are not alone. They come through the cracks, not just cracks in the walls, but cracks in reality, in understanding. They slip through the spaces between what you know and what you fear. And the room itself, the focus of it all, even with the door closed, there is a sense of it, a weight behind the wood. Sometimes a faint light is seen under the door, not the harsh glare of an electric bulb, but a soft, pulsing glow, like distant embers or something else entirely. It flickers, it breathes. It suggests a space that is not dark, but illuminated by something unnatural, something that belongs to another place. What happens in that room? What was forgiven? What was left behind or taken away? The reports offer no answers, only observations of the inexplicable. This is the nature of Room 13 reports. We present the facts as they are found, stripped of comforting explanations. We show you the locked door, the scratched word, the empty space, the lingering presence. We show you the hallway that remembers, the floor that holds secrets, the air that whispers. We show you the edges of the mystery. And we leave you to stand in the silence, to feel the cold air, to hear the faint sounds that are not sounds, to wonder about the word, the lock, the absence. To understand that in places like this, you are not an intruder. You are not an unexpected visitor. You were expected.